Is Cleveland quietly setting their rookie quarterback up to fail? While the Browns hold the 6th overall pick, some insiders and media voices seem more interested in seeing Shedeur Sanders struggle than succeed. One draft decision could reveal a much deeper problem, and the stakes for his career couldn't be higher. The Browns' 6th overall pick has sparked more than just speculation. It's igniting a full-blown debate over how this franchise plans to build around their rookie quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. On one side, you've got analysts like Lloyd, questioning whether Shedeur is ready to be the long-term answer. He floats ideas that make fans raise eyebrows, like drafting a defensive back instead of shoring up the offensive line. To some, it sounds strategic. But to others, it feels like history repeating itself, another moment where the rookie isn't prioritized. Enter G. Bush. He doesn't just see a player on a draft board, he sees a pattern. He notices that the Browns' offense has struggled for years, that protection is inconsistent, and that the supporting cast rarely elevates the quarterback. And now, with a premium draft pick in hand, the expectation is simple: build around your quarterback. But Lloyd's argument that a defensive back could be the smarter choice triggered something deeper. It wasn't about the talent of Caleb DS, a highly respected player with elite instincts and football IQ. It was about context. It was about whether Cleveland is truly committed to giving Shedeur Sanders the tools he needs to succeed. Bush pushed back hard, not emotionally but strategically. He argued that the offense, which has repeatedly failed to impose itself, cannot afford to be ignored. Drafting defensive help while leaving glaring offensive gaps sends a dangerous message: that the quarterback's struggles are his own fault, and that development takes a backseat to narratives and media skepticism. Bush framed it bluntly: a quarterback grows when he's protected, when receivers win matchups, when the offensive line creates space to operate. Remove those elements, and even the most talented rookie can look average, and some members of the media ecosystem seem fine with that. The tension escalates because this isn't a one-time disagreement. It's a reflection of past drafts where defensive pieces were prioritized while offensive issues lingered, leaving the quarterback under pressure and the team underperforming. Now, the 6th overall pick will test the franchise's philosophy. Will Cleveland invest in the offense and commit to Shedeur's development, or will the focus shift again, forcing him to carry a team without proper support? Every argument, every comment, every analyst prediction feeds into the narrative. And fans are watching closely because the decision could define not just Shedeur's rookie season but the trajectory of the entire franchise. The draft isn't just about talent. It's about trust, alignment, and the choices that either empower or hinder a young quarterback's rise. To understand why the 6th overall pick debate hit so hard, you have to look at the Browns' recent history. This isn't the first time the team has struggled to balance offense and defense. Year after year, the draft board has leaned toward defensive pieces, even when the offense desperately needed help. And it's not just a coincidence, patterns reveal priorities. Fans remember seasons where the quarterback was left scrambling behind a shaky offensive line while the defense got shiny new toys in the draft. G. Bush points to these past decisions as more than mistakes. They're part of a narrative that has quietly formed in Cleveland, that the franchise seems willing to risk a young quarterback's development to preserve comfort in the locker room or to satisfy media-proof strategies. It's a cycle that has frustrated fans and analysts alike. The offensive struggles weren't due to a lack of talent at the quarterback position. They were often the result of mismatched support, poor protection, inconsistent playmakers, and coaching strategies that didn't fully commit to letting the offense flourish. Even when the Browns showed flashes of promise, the pattern persisted. High draft picks went to defensive stars while offensive needs lingered. Promises about fixing the line or upgrading skill positions were often partially fulfilled, leaving the quarterback to carry more weight than reasonable. For Shedeur Sanders, this history matters. Every draft decision carries context. It tells him and the league whether the team believes in him or is willing to let circumstances force him into impossible situations. Bush highlights that the story isn't just about individual talent, it's about environment. Quarterbacks grow when they're protected consistently, when receivers win their matchups, and when coaching schemes maximize strengths. Strip away those elements and even a generational talent looks vulnerable. That's why history matters, because patterns repeat and those patterns influence perception, performance, and the narrative built by both media and fans. When you see analysts suggesting a defensive back over offensive support, it may appear strategic at first glance. But within the historical lens, it raises alarms. Is this about the best roster construction, or is it about adhering to a story that paints quarterbacks as not ready when in reality the system around them failed first? For G. Bush, seeing this repeat is a signal that Cleveland must decide. Are they truly building around Shedeur Sanders, or are they allowing history to dictate the quarterback's challenges yet again? Patterns aren't destiny, but in the NFL, they shape opportunities, expectations, and careers. And for a young quarterback in Cleveland, that history looms large, making the 6th overall pick far more than just a number on a board. When the conversation turns to draft strategy, it's not just about picks, it's about the voices shaping the narrative. Analysts, reporters, and insiders wield enormous influence. They frame what's smart, what's necessary, and sometimes what's expected from a quarterback. In Cleveland, that influence has always carried extra weight. Fans remember when coverage subtly questioned the franchise's quarterback before he even stepped on the field. And now, with Shedeur Sanders, that skepticism is louder, more visible, and more consequential. G. Bush pointed out something striking. Some members of the Cleveland media ecosystem seem invested in scenarios where Shedeur struggles, not because they dislike him or doubt his talent entirely, but because when he fails, it validates their previous skepticism. It's a cycle that quietly reinforces itself. Analysts question offensive moves, highlight missed opportunities, and dissect every interception. And when the quarterback falters in a system lacking support, the media frame it as a personal shortcoming rather than a structural issue. This isn't hypothetical. Past drafts show the pattern. Offensive needs were repeatedly underprioritized while defensive players were celebrated even when the offense lagged behind. When media narratives applaud these decisions, it creates subtle pressure. The quarterback is left to carry more than reasonable, and analysts get to claim, "I told you so," when the results aren't perfect. For Shedeur, this environment is double-edged. Every throw, every decision, every drive is scrutinized through a lens that may not reflect reality. And it gets more complicated. Reports suggest that some insiders actively push certain draft boards or mock drafts to influence perception. Some fans believe these tactics can sway general managers, intentionally or unintentionally, to align with a narrative rather than pure roster need. When defensive stars are prioritized in public conversations, it shapes expectations, creates talking points, and can subtly affect how the front office approaches selection. For G. Bush, the concern isn't just about draft picks. It's about how media influence intersects with actual decision-making. If the narrative prioritizes defensive stars over offensive support, it risks repeating a dangerous cycle, one where a generational quarterback is forced to compensate for systemic gaps and criticism follows predictable patterns. The hidden agenda, whether intentional or subconscious, impacts not just perception but the development of the player and the trajectory of the franchise. In Cleveland, this is the unspoken battle. The front office, the media, and the quarterback's reality must align. If they don't, history shows us the results: frustrated talent, stalled development, and predictable headlines. And that's why every comment, every report, and every analysis matters far more than most fans realize. Quarterback development isn't just about talent, it's about environment. And for Shedeur Sanders, that environment has been anything but stable. From the moment he stepped onto the Cleveland field, he's faced more than just opposing defenses. He's been navigating inconsistent protection, limited offensive weapons, and a front office that has struggled to balance long-term vision with short-term fixes. Every rookie quarterback faces challenges, but the pressure Shedeur has been under is on another level. The offensive line has been a glaring factor. Breakdowns in protection aren't just mistakes, they're opportunities for criticism to take hold. Every scramble, every hurried throw becomes fodder for media narratives suggesting the quarterback isn't ready, isn't decisive, or isn't the franchise answer. And the problem isn't hypothetical. Analysts have pointed out repeated missed blocks, late blitz pickups, and miscommunications among linemen. From a rookie standpoint, it's like running a gauntlet on every dropback. Then there's the supporting cast. Elite quarterbacks thrive when their receivers consistently win matchups and when the running game opens lanes to relieve pressure. For Shedeur, that consistency hasn't been guaranteed. Plays designed to create separation have been limited, and opportunities to hand the ball off and control the pace have often fallen short. And when the offense stalls, the narrative quickly becomes about him, not the system. Critics rarely ask whether he was set up to succeed, they focus on whether he failed. The pressure intensifies when you consider media scrutiny and fan expectations. Reports and debates repeatedly question whether Cleveland is fully committing to Shedeur or leaving him to prove himself without proper support. Every interception, every missed read, every underwhelming drive is amplified, dissected, and replayed. The reality is that development is fragile. Confidence is key, and confidence is built when quarterbacks trust their line, their coaches, and their weapons. Remove those elements, and even the most talented player looks ordinary. G. Bush highlighted a critical point: patterns matter. Past drafts have shown a tendency to prioritize defense over offense, creating gaps in protection and skill positions. When the pattern repeats, the quarterback's margin for error shrinks. A single misstep becomes a story, a confirmation of skepticism. It's a pressure cooker scenario where rookie development is constantly measured against expectations that don't match the tools given. The timing of this pressure is also crucial. Early failures can have long-term implications, affecting everything from confidence to the perception of front office competency. For Shedeur, this means every practice, every game, and every throw carries weight far beyond typical rookie growing pains. The development of a franchise quarterback isn't just on-field performance, it's trusting the system around him. And right now, every element in Cleveland is being tested. The offensive line, draft decisions, coaching philosophy, and media narratives all converge to shape whether he becomes the player everyone believes he can be. Ultimately, quarterback development under pressure isn't just about talent, it's about trust, support, and timing. For Shedeur Sanders, the story isn't over, but the next moves by Cleveland's front office will define whether he thrives or struggles under the weight of expectations. The debate over draft strategy in Cleveland isn't just about which player has the higher ceiling, it's about philosophy. And right now, that philosophical clash is coming to a head. On one side, you have the strategic argument: prioritize the glaring gaps, give your quarterback the protection and weapons he needs, and build a team that can win now while developing your young star. On the other side, there's the philosophical mindset: focus on long-term roster balance, draft the best available talent, and hope the system fills in the gaps around your quarterback. Both approaches sound reasonable, but when they collide, the stakes aren't hypothetical. Some analysts, like Lloyd, have argued for using premium picks on defensive stars, believing elite talent in the secondary or at linebacker sets a foundation for a sustainable franchise. From a pure value standpoint, that makes sense. Caleb Diaz, for instance, is a generational talent in the defensive backfield. He can change games, elevate teammates, and anchor a defense for years. But the strategic question becomes, is drafting a defensive star enough if your offense continues to struggle? If the quarterback isn't protected and the supporting cast can't create explosive plays, that generational talent doesn't automatically translate to wins. And that's where the philosophical clash deepens. G. Bush framed the issue bluntly: if Cleveland continues prioritizing defense while ignoring offensive shortcomings, they risk creating a narrative trap. A rookie quarterback carries more responsibility, the margin for error shrinks, and the media storylines write themselves. Every interception, every stalled drive, every underwhelming game suddenly looks like a failure on the quarterback's part, even if the root problem is systemic. That's not just theory, it's a pattern that's repeated in prior seasons. When premium picks ignore offensive reinforcement, fans and analysts begin to question whether the team is really committed to the franchise quarterback. That's the philosophical risk. Are decisions being made to build the team, or to protect narratives and satisfy pre-existing skepticism? Then there's the timing factor. Cleveland holds the 6th overall pick, a rare opportunity to make a statement. Drafting the right player can shift momentum, shape the team's trajectory, and signal to fans, players, and the media that the franchise is aligned behind Shedeur Sanders. Choosing a defensive back instead of offensive reinforcement isn't inherently wrong, but in context, it sends a message. It can look like the team is hedging, testing the rookie, or prioritizing balance over his immediate development. And in a league where narrative and perception matter as much as performance, perception becomes reality. Ultimately, this debate isn't just theoretical, it's about accountability. Every draft pick reflects the organization's philosophy and sets the tone for the next era. When you weigh long-term value against short-term necessity, every choice carries weight beyond the stat sheet. For Cleveland, the decision isn't merely who is the better player, it's what story the franchise wants to tell, how it wants to support its quarterback, and whether Shedeur Sanders will be given the tools to thrive or the burden to survive. And as draft night looms, every fan, analyst, and rival is watching. Because in Cleveland, this debate isn't just about strategy, it's about identity. The 6th overall pick in Cleveland isn't just a number, it's a statement. Every fan, analyst, and media outlet knows that when the Browns step up to the podium, the choice will reveal the organization's priorities. Will it signal commitment to Shedeur Sanders, the rookie quarterback who's already showing flashes of elite talent? Or will it hint at hesitation, a franchise still weighing balance over giving their young star the support he desperately needs? The tension is palpable, and insiders know this isn't just speculation, it's history in the making. Leading up to the pick, the debates have been relentless. Analysts like Lloyd have floated ideas that prioritize defensive talent, emphasizing the long-term structural benefits of bolstering the secondary or adding a generational defensive player. On paper, it's compelling. Caleb Diaz, for example, is a player with instincts that seem almost supernatural. He reads offenses like an open book, tracks the quarterback with precision, and can change a game with a single play. But the strategic reality hits harder. Cleveland's offense has been inconsistent, protection unreliable, and the supporting cast around Shedeur Sanders uneven at best. Drafting defense without addressing those offensive gaps risks reinforcing the same struggles that have held the team back. G. Bush's perspective adds another layer. He frames the choice not just in terms of talent evaluation, but in the optics of organizational alignment. When you draft a defensive star with a premium pick while your quarterback lacks elite protection, it doesn't just affect game outcomes, it affects narratives. The media, fans, and even opposing teams will interpret every misstep through that lens. Every third down sack, every failed drive suddenly becomes evidence that the rookie can't handle the pressure. And if that narrative takes root, it validates critics who question the decision to commit to Shedeur Sanders in the first place. That's the risk Cleveland faces, and it's why the 6th pick carries so much weight. The story intensifies because the Browns aren't just drafting a player, they're drafting confidence. A pick in this range can either empower Sanders, giving him the tools to succeed immediately, or it can leave him in a situation where the margin for error is razor-thin. Fans remember past moments when the team prioritized long-term balance over immediate reinforcement, and the results were mixed at best. That history haunts every discussion about this pick, adding pressure not just on management but on every voice weighing in publicly. Then there's the psychological factor. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a rookie, he's a symbol of the future. Every move the franchise makes sends a signal to the locker room. Drafting offensive help screams, "We believe in you and we're giving you a chance to flourish." Drafting defense first, even if justified by talent, can unintentionally communicate caution, hedging, or distrust. That's the invisible pressure Sanders has to navigate, and it makes this pick about more than stats or rankings. It's about trust, alignment, and philosophy. As the clock ticks and the Browns prepare to announce their choice, the entire NFL watches. This isn't just draft night, it's a turning point. One player selected, one pick made, and the direction of Cleveland's offense, Shedeur Sanders' development, and the narrative around the franchise will be written in that single moment. Every fan is asking the same question. Will this be the pick that finally gives the rookie quarterback the support he deserves, or the moment that raises doubt about the team's priorities? Because in Cleveland, the 6th overall pick isn't just a number, it's a declaration of identity. And the fallout, no matter who's chosen, will define the trajectory of the franchise for years to come. The draft pick isn't just about Shedeur Sanders or a single position, it's about the entire locker room. Every choice sends a message, and Cleveland's 6th overall selection has implications that reach far beyond the field. Veterans watch, rookies observe, and the coaching staff gauges the mood. When a team prioritizes offensive support over defensive luxury, it signals trust. It says, "We believe in our young quarterback and we're building around him." But when a franchise opts for defense first, even if justified, it subtly communicates caution, even skepticism. That's the invisible pressure every player feels, and it can ripple through every meeting, practice, and game. Inside the Browns facility, the dynamics are already complex. Shedeur has impressed teammates and coaches alike, showing poise beyond his years. Yet there's always tension between emerging stars and established veterans. Some longtime players may feel threatened by change, worried that a rookie quarterback could redefine the hierarchy. Others recognize the opportunity. Winning requires supporting talent, not ego, and management must navigate this delicate balance. Andrew Barry's decisions over the next few days are about more than roster construction. They're about aligning the locker room culture with a vision that prioritizes performance over politics. Media narratives amplify every nuance. In Cleveland, certain voices have consistently questioned whether Shedeur is ready to carry the franchise. Some analysts frame his growth as a test, scrutinizing every sack, every missed read, every failed drive. If the 6th pick neglects offensive help, those narratives gain fuel. Fans notice patterns too, and social media explodes with speculation and debate. A defensive selection could trigger praise for savvy talent evaluation or criticism for failing to invest in the quarterback's success. The franchise's optics are as high stakes as the on-field outcomes, and every tweet, podcast, and column becomes part of the story. But beyond the headlines lies the true measure: how the locker room internalizes the pick. Players respond to trust and alignment. Shedeur Sanders needs to believe the system is built for him. He needs to know that when he drops back to pass, his line will hold, that when he releases the ball, his receivers will win matchups. Without that foundation, even the most talented quarterback can struggle, not due to skill but environment. And veterans, consciously or unconsciously, influence how that environment is perceived. If the pick suggests hesitation or misalignment, it can embolden dissent, create microfrictions, and undermine cohesion at the exact moment Shedeur needs clarity and confidence. The decision also reflects on leadership. Barry isn't just evaluating players, he's evaluating the franchise's philosophy. Does Cleveland prioritize long-term balance over immediate impact? Does it protect its young franchise quarterback or hedge bets on defensive talent? Every locker room conversation will reference this pick. It sets precedent. It establishes hierarchy. It defines whether young players like Shedeur feel empowered or cautious. And then there's the psychological edge. Shedeur Sanders isn't only competing against opponents, he's competing against perception. Every choice the front office makes either removes barriers or adds pressure. The sixth pick is the litmus test. Will the Browns fully commit to their quarterback, or will they repeat past mistakes, leaving him to shoulder more than he reasonably should? Every analyst, every fan, every teammate will read the move like a statement about trust, belief, and strategy. In the end, this isn't a single pick, it's a declaration. It reveals where priorities lie, how the franchise values its quarterback, and how the locker room will respond. Draft night isn't just about who wears the jersey next, it's about the culture that Cleveland wants to create. Will it be one that rallies around its rising star, or one that subtly tests him at every turn? In a league where perception and environment shape performance as much as talent, the ramifications of this choice will echo far beyond the draft podium. Cleveland now stands at a crossroads, and the sixth overall pick isn't just a number, it's a statement. Every move the front office makes over the next few days will ripple through the locker room, the media, and the fan base. This isn't about a single draft selection, it's about signaling priorities. Do the Browns fully commit to Shedeur Sanders, giving him the tools, protection, and talent to thrive? Or is this another moment where history repeats itself, where promise is undermined by hesitation, and a young quarterback is asked to carry more than he reasonably should? The tension is real. Veterans in the locker room are already reading between the lines, sensing whether the franchise believes in Shedeur as the cornerstone of its future. Young players, rookies, and free agents are watching too. Their confidence in leadership, in team culture, and in the system they're entering depends on this pick. If the organization chooses offense first, it's a clear message. Shedeur is valued, he's supported, and the franchise is ready to commit to his growth. If the decision leans defensive, even if justified on paper, it introduces doubt. It subtly communicates caution, hesitation, and a lingering skepticism that can spread like wildfire. Media narratives will amplify every nuance. Analysts, reporters, and social media commentators are already dissecting every hint, every quote, and every whisper from inside the building. Some fans believe the Browns' front office has a history of defensive conservatism, while others argue this pick is about raw talent acquisition. The debate isn't abstract, it affects perception, morale, and even the lens through which Shedeur Sanders' development will be judged. If the offense struggles after the pick, critics will tie the failure not to circumstance but to decision-making. The spotlight isn't just on Shedeur, it's on Andrew Barry, the coaching staff, and the entire franchise philosophy. Shedeur Sanders himself will feel the pressure, but the stakes go beyond performance. Quarterbacks grow not just with talent but with environment. They thrive when the line protects them, when receivers win matchups, and when they know the organization has their back. Remove those elements and even the most gifted player faces uphill battles. If the pick signals doubt or misalignment, it will test Shedeur in ways that stats can't fully capture. Confidence, decision-making, and mental resilience are all on the line, and the margin for error shrinks with every snap. But there's another layer. History shows that locker room perception shapes performance. If teammates sense hesitation from management, it changes dynamics. Veteran leaders could unconsciously or consciously resist the quarterback's authority. Coaching emphasis might shift subtly. Even fan energy amplified on social media can create a feedback loop where pressure mounts unnaturally. Every observer, every critic, every analyst, and every teammate will interpret this single choice as an indicator of belief or doubt in Shedeur Sanders' potential. And here's the cliffhanger. No matter what happens on draft night, the consequences won't be immediate, they'll echo for weeks, months, and possibly years. Every snap Shedeur takes, every read he makes, every touchdown or interception will be filtered through this narrative. If the offense flourishes, it validates commitment. If it falters, the story becomes one of caution and controversy. The pick doesn't just fill a roster spot, it defines the culture, tests leadership, and challenges the franchise's identity. Cleveland is about to reveal its hand. And when that choice drops, everyone will be watching. Analysts will dissect it, fans will debate it, teammates will react to it, but most importantly, Shedeur Sanders' trajectory, the one everyone has been watching so closely, will hinge on it. Will he rise unhindered, proving every doubter wrong? Or will the weight of a questionable decision and subtle misalignment test him in ways no one outside that locker room can fully understand? Draft night is coming. The question isn't just who Cleveland selects, it's what story the franchise chooses to tell about its future, its quarterback, and its commitment to winning. And that story is about to be written.